Yesterday, the House of Representatives voted on a financial rescue plan that had been negotiated by congressional leaders of both parties in my administration. Unfortunately, the measure was defeated by a narrow margin. I'm disappointed by the outcome, but I assure our citizens and citizens around the world that this is not the end of the legislative process. Producing legislation is complicated and it can be contentious. It matters little what a path a bill takes to become law. What matters is that we get a law. We're at a critical moment for our economy, and we need legislation that decisively addresses the troubled assets now clogging the financial system, helps lenders resume the flow of credit to consumers and businesses, and allows the American economy to get moving again. I recognize this is a difficult vote for members of Congress. Many of them don't like the fact that our economy has reached this point, and I understand that. But the reality is that we're in an urgent situation, and the consequences will grow worse each day if we do not act. The dramatic drop in the stock market that we saw yesterday will have a direct impact on the retirement accounts, pension funds, and personal savings of millions of our citizens. And if our nation continues on this course, the economic damage will be painful and lasting. I know many Americans are especially worried about the cost of the legislation. The bill the House considered yesterday commits up to $700 billion taxpayer dollars to purchase troubled assets from banks and other financial institutions. That, no question, is a large amount of money. We're also dealing with a large problem. But to put that in perspective, the drop in the stock market yesterday represented more than $1 trillion in losses. Furthermore, both the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office and the Office of Management and Budget expect that the legislation considered would ultimately cost the taxpayer far less than the $700 billion, because the government would be purchasing troubled assets and selling them once the market recovers. It is likely that many of the assets would go up in value over time. Ultimately, we expect that much, if not all, of the tax dollars we invest will be paid back. As much as we might wish the situation were different, our country is not facing a choice between government action and the smooth functioning of the free market. We're facing a choice between action and the real prospect of economic hardship for millions of Americans, for the financial security of every American. Congress must act. My administration will continue to work closely with leaders of both parties on Capitol Hill. I appreciate their determined efforts. While Congress is out today for the Jewish holiday, my administration will be talking to congressional leaders today about how we can move legislation forward when members begin returning to the Capitol tomorrow. Our economy is depending on decisive action from the government. The sooner we address the problem, the sooner we can get back on the path of growth and job creation. This is what elected leaders owe the American people, and I'm confident we'll deliver.
For example, when Central America was devastated by the hurricanes when I was president, we spent almost $1 billion of the taxpayers' money out of their pockets. And if I could just make one other point about that, because you asked if it was a worldwide effort, because of the internet and because you can make contributions over the net, a small amount of cash pooled with others can do an enormous amount of good. You had AOL and Apple, for example, using their position on the internet to help collect small contributions. I think AOL put together about $7.5 million in small contributions in a day.
And President Bush, it's cash over items, right? If you're going to give...
Right now it is. Larry, right now that's true. President Clinton and I accompanied the president when he went to pay his respects. We all did, signing the books at the various four embassies of the countries that were affected. And all of them made clear that the best thing you can do is to send money at this time as opposed to goods, because there's no delivery problem. Sometimes the goods can be acquired in a neighborhood nearby, or sometimes the goods that might be sent from here might not be exactly what's needed. The medicine might be different. So we've concluded that the best thing to do is, as President Clinton said a minute ago, to give to these organizations or send it into usafreedom.gov and freedomcorps.gov and let them help distribute it. But the main thing is it's better at this juncture to send cash, and I think they all agree with that, the embassies.
Yeah, Larry, let me just give you an example. If you look at the pictures of the airport in Colombo in Sri Lanka, it's full. You literally, I don't know how they're going to get all the crates off of the airport site that they have. There's a wonderful Buddhist temple here in New York where the monks have been. I think that's his decision, but you know, I know what he's thinking now. If he went now, he'd just be in the way. And I know he would, because you know, you'd have to take all the Secret Service people. You'd have to take up all these helicopters that could be otherwise out there delivering supplies. And I think it's the wise decision now to send Secretary Powell and Governor Bush and the FEMA director and whoever else went, and let them look, make reports, and then provide the help that's necessary. It might be that sometime in the next couple of months he would want to go. I went to the refugee camps in Turkey, but not right away. If I had gone right away, I would have been in the way of